where you're coming from, but also someone who understands who you must become. Which means that you're going to have to be willing to risk being seen. It's always so much easier when we have friendships that exist in silos. I've got one group of friends who understand where I came from. And I've got another group of friends who understand my potential. But I'm at my best when I'm in an environment with people who understand that where I've come from is not where I can stay. And where I am, I must keep pressing forward because there's still something that God wants to do in me. And so if we are not careful, we will find ourselves comfortable in friendships that celebrate our mediocrity, but prevent us from growing into God's next dimension.
Hey, you guys, we got Exquisite Conversation Podcast, and I'm Nicole, and I'm so happy to see you guys again tonight. As you guys know that we were, I got a lot of feedback again, that we are upgrading the podcast for all of our special guests. And tonight we got someone very special. Her name is Debra Sue. She is an entertainment guru. I'll let her introduce herself and tell you guys everything that she has going on and what she's about. You guys already know King Jacob. What's up, Jacob?
Hey, what's happening?
What you got going on here?
Oh man, just a little that. God is good, that's all I can tell you.
Yeah. So how was the event this weekend that we had going on? What was
it was great. It was great mingling and good people around good people, and everybody smiling and networking, and just blessings on top of blessings. That's all.
Okay, perfect. So hey, Debra, how are you?
I'm good, love. How are you?
I'm well. Tell us about yourself.
Well, first of all, as you introduced me, I am known as Debra Sue. I am and founder of Glass City Talent 419, which is based in Toledo, Ohio, but certainly not restricted to Toledo, Ohio. I have managed many artists and have artists currently that are based out of Michigan. One of them is based out of Michigan, and a couple of others as well. When it comes to entertainment, I'm really not a guru. I'm really more of a manager slash promoter slash publicist slash
guru,
business person, if you will.
Philanthropist in music. You have a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
You're doing this over a decade, right?
Yeah. So as far as it relates to the music industry, I actually am the business person for artists, that have been in the industry for a while, not brand new starting people. And basically, it's helping them establish the foundation for their businesses to make sure that their businesses are in order as an artist. That they have copyrights, that they have their music registered through music houses, that they have the proper marketing and promotion, if you will. And distribution also. And that also entails, arranging tours, and the like of that, as far as travel and everything is concerned. And then on the flip side, as far as publicists are concerned, I am actually the person that if you have a book you want to have published, I am the person to help get that done for you, because I have had people from all over. Actually, the last book that I helped publish was a 354-page series for a gentleman out of Columbus. And so that is now on Amazon, Kindle, and Barnes & Noble. And so that was a really big project, and I was happy to help him do that. And I've also helped local folks, working on a book with a young lady right now who's actually writing her autobiography from scratch. And so I'm hoping that within the next 6 months, we can help get that put out for her. As far as my philanthropy is concerned, I do sit on 7 boards. I'm an executive member of 3 of those boards. And my interest in that, as far as my philanthropy is concerned, is helping homeless women and children, making sure that they're housed, neighborhood improvement. I belong to a board that focuses every year on reducing youth violence. Actually, the board itself is called CRAVE. citizen response against youth violence, and it'll be the third annual festival that's coming up now, arranged by a young lady named Rochelle Russell, and so I'm on that board as well. So I'm very involved locally. I have my feet in the grass, if you will, very locally. I have a love of historic homes and neighborhoods, and so I'm on boards for preservations for those as well. So I do many things. I wear many hats, if you will. And I never get tired of what I do, because when you work in the service of other people, you're just blessed always.
Okay then. So Miss Deborah, um, I've been in this industry for a while, like yourself, and I just want to know, from your level of what you see with artists. And me and my partner, Icon, interviewed one of your artists a while back, Mr. Mac Nova. And what's so interesting about Mac is he started music late. He's a very intelligent guy, a school teacher type guy. And so he started doing music really, really late. And but from what he said, he was always good at freestyles, and they just said, man, you should do it. So um, with dealing with somebody like him, who's an educator first, and his level of expertise when it comes to putting the music together, and the type of lyrics that he speaks, and how he kind of owns the tracks when he's speaking to the females, in a more intellectual way. You know what I mean? So from a level of marketing and publicity, um, how is that different from you versus a person who don't have his expertise?
Well, first of all, it makes it much easier for me to market him, because he is such a guy, an artist that works off of intellect. His music is very publishable, if you will, where I don't have to have every other word bleeped out or edited. I have some artists that put music out, and literally, when I did my segments on iHeart Radio, I tried to tell the artists, many of the artists, it's very hard for me to get your music on the radio if you don't have edited versions of what you make. Very important to have edited versions, especially when you're dealing with a media like iHeartMedia, if you will, okay, or even your local radio stations. Mac Nova, on the other hand, he's college educated guy, but he's been through some things. He's been through some things that a lot of people go through, and that's what he talks about. And unlike, the street aspect of it, he talks about his struggles as a college student. He talks about his struggles as a person who's tried to make it but got drawn back by health issues, but he overcame those health issues. He talks about the struggles of, mixed family life, if you will. And then he talks about how necessary it is for gentlemen or men, to respect women, and the same thing should come back from women. So as far as a marketable level is concerned, he's very, very marketable, because he speaks to a person's heart, and not so much just to the head, or not just so much to what's going on in the industry. He does not fit in any certain fad, if you will. We have these fads in music that go on, and they come and they go. But I could take his lyrics and I can put them to a hip hop track, and then I can turn around and put them right back on an R&B track, and they just make sense. They just fit what they are, and so that's what makes him so appealing to many people, even at his age. And I really don't. I don't hold judgment against anybody's age, because most of the folks that are in the industry, at the top tier of the industry, they're in their 30s, 40s, and some of them are even in their 50s. One of our hottest moguls today is Jay-Z, and I think he's approaching 50 years old, but he's been in it for a while. But even some of the later rappers that are coming through, they're all coming in their mid to late 30s. And so I really tell people, don't let age hold you back if you are really, really talented in what you do, because that is what is most important. It's not age.
Okay. And so for you, when it comes to the streaming services, what is your take on the streaming services, and how they have it designed, how they have it set up? Because I really think that I don't really think that a person should be able to listen to a whole song and then decide if they're going to purchase. I think a person should be able to listen to a 30-second to 45-second clip. And if you want the other 2 minutes in 30 seconds of the song, you have to purchase that record. So what is your take on it?
I agree 110% with you, but you have to understand that's all by design.
I know.
That is all by design, and they make it so, unfortunately, streaming services and some of the media services, they want to pay out as little as possible. Literally, that's just the truth of it. They want to pay out as little as possible, and so they design it so that a person who is listening is going to have to sit there the whole time. Me personally, I know within the first 30 seconds if I like a song or not. Really, honestly, within the first 20 seconds,
right.
I know if I like a song or not. And so yes, I think some changes legislatively. I do know that some of the protective services such as BMI and ASTAC and even some legislation has gone to Congress to change some of the ways that these artists are being ripped off, if you will, and not being paid. And so I think a lot is in the works to change some of that, because not just the artists, but the artists and the producers, accessory people, they're trying to make it so that everybody is getting paid versus the streaming companies getting paid, or other entities that are collecting on the money except the artists, But then again, this is where I also tell artists, this is where your due diligence comes in, that you make sure that you are registered properly, so that if your music is being played, if it's being done, being taken care of anywhere, that you're going to get that money. And that's where your business has to be taken care of, whether it's registering with your local PRO or, copyrighting your music and however, LLCing yourself. You have got to treat your profession as if it is a separate business from yourself.
Exactly. Nicole?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with everything that I'm so sorry about the interruption and the pool. We've been trying to work on this for a while. I apologize. But I do agree. I agree with everything that you're saying. But you have so much on the horizon, because I heard prior to us getting on live, you said when you retired. I wanted to say that for what we got on screen. And so you said you retired. You don't look anything like retiring, age, stage, anywhere. You look beautiful, darling. So
thank you.
What did you do to prepare yourself to retire so early? And how did that take place?
Well, you know what? I am from a family where a mother made us all very cognizant of finances at a very young age. She was into real estate. She worked in the finance department at the local university. And so she has taught us, it's 7 of us, by the way, she taught all of us how to be money managers. And so most of us very early on, we owned rental properties. She taught us how to do that because she owned rental properties. She taught us financial business, banking, and so forth. And so we did all that. So as we progress into life, we were taught, make sure you have a 401k, make sure you have this, make sure you have that. So before I retired, I made sure I had that. And I'm at the point right now where I'm actually looking into trust, and so, yes, I was able to retire fairly comfortable. But then the main thing that I appreciate about being in retirement is that I'm now able to use my time in the service of others, literally. I'm able to spend more time with my grandchildren and my family, but I am now able to do some of the things that can affect us locally as far as our laws are concerned, or as far as helping, our initiatives as far as homelessness is concerned, as far as neighborhood violence is concerned, as far as our youth situation with so many youth getting involved in violence and losing their lives. I'm able to involve myself in that a little bit more. So I appreciate the time that God has allowed me to get this far in life and to still have a good amount of energy that I can still do those things.
Absolutely. I definitely think that community is one of the main key factors that people seem to leave out when they either make it to the top or on their way to the top.
Yeah.
you know, because there's still people down here at the bottom, or I'm not going to say at the bottom, but just looking up, waiting for someone to rain down on them, either showing them the way, showing them how to get there, or holding their hand.
Exactly.
I also heard you say,
I wholeheartedly believe that. And I truly believe, even before retirement, I was mentoring young women, because my background is I did 23 years in radiology. And so I was able to mentor young people as to what they need to do to get into a medical field. Doesn't have to be radiology, it could be nursing or whatever it is. But when you are in a position to mentor a young woman, you know, whether it be on Daughter's Day or Women's Day or what have you, you know, you have to look beyond yourself and understand you did not get to where you are without the help of the people who came before you, you know. And so
absolutely,
I often say, in order for us to be a mentor to young people, we have to be true to ourselves. We have to be true to the person that we are, because we can't just, you know, talk the talk and not walk the walk, you know. And
yes,
so it behooves us, whether we're, you know, whether we're young or old. I say this to the artists too, and I've always said this, and I appreciate some of the artists that have come back to Toledo, whether it be, you know, some of our basketball stars that have come from Toledo. As you all know, Toledo houses 4 or 5 of the top boxers, you know, champions, if you will, you know, that they're all from Toledo. We have a great deal of talent here, and mostly all of those people have come back in one way or another to help young people. They started boxing clubs, you know, a couple of them have started other business entities around here. One of our coaches out at Lord's College that played on the Detroit Pistons, I believe, he is now a coach at Lord's College. So they have come back home to help people, and really that's what it's all about. When you get out here and you learn a skill and you've mastered that skill, why would you not take that back to people in your neighborhood or young people who are seeking to get into those fields, and give them a edge, if you will? You know, that's what we're obligated to do. We're obligated to give, because that's where your happiness comes from.
absolutely. I think that is absolutely true. And in the process of giving and returning the favor, each one teach one, connecting with the sister bond, I'm definitely for that. I hear a lot of women say, oh well, I don't, you know, I really do this by myself. From, you know, it's a male dominated field. It is a male dominated field, but I am so for us women. I love, love, love connecting with us women, especially women who I can look up to. I try to surround myself with people um, who I feel like I can give whatever I have to give and receive whatever I can to get me to that next level, to
Absolutely.
wherever it is that I want to be. So I can even show my daughters, and then they can navigate the world and choose what they want to do and where they want to be in this world. Because it's a big world and you got so many options, but you have to know, what I've learned is that you have to know something about politics, and you have to know something about money, because those two go hand in hand. And if you don't know about those two, you're going to have um, a long, hard road. And the fact that you're in the medical field, because you're in the music industry and then you're in the medical field, or did you do that at the same time?
I actually had a love of music for since my teenage years. I have a love of this because this is what I did. I sang with a band, for a couple different bands, actually, for many
That was
years.
my next thing.
That was like, and so, you know, when I say I know what the artists need and I have an ear, when I go into the studio sometime and I listen to what the artists are doing, I have an ear for the wrong key. I have an ear for harmony. I have an ear for melody. I have an ear, you know, when the timing is off, because I did it for so long. The only reason I kind of stepped away from it was because my medical training, I had to go to school. I got involved with that. And then I climbed the ladder, you know, in the medical field. So I had to really step back, because that was, you know, that was my bread and butter at the time, if you will. And so when I retired from it, now that I'm able to go into a studio with an artist, or, you know, someone will send me some music and say, hey, what do you think about this song? I'll let them know it's off key, or you need vocal training, or, you know, I highly suggest you go here and get some vocal training, or I highly suggest that you take your manager into a studio with you, or I can come in and we can get that song right and tight for you, you know, because right now, as it is, you're missing something in the song. And when it sounds good, I'll tell them it sounds good. You know, your intro was too long, but the rest of it sounded great.
Right, right. And so for everyone that is tuning in and tapping in, we have Debra Sue, who is a philanthropist, a entrepreneur, if nothing else, and someone who is in the industry. And she has artists, and she's a manager, and she's a publisher, and she's so many things. And if you would like to, please share the video, like it. It's not going to take a second. Pass it on. And if anyone else would like to come in and speak to or ask any questions, please go ahead and put the question inside of the comment area, and we'll be more than happy to put it on the screen, and you can comment and you can communicate with Debra Sue. Jacob.
Okay, I just want to say shout out to Dino, Mr. Know-It-All, Chi-Town, tapping in with us, and shout out to Jonathan Coleman, Media Blast, publicist extraordinaire out of Charlotte, North Carolina. I appreciate because he is the one who made this connection. So we are definitely grateful for him. You know, that's my boy. Every time I talk to him, I say, "Who you got?" He said, "Hang on, give me a second, hang on." So and he always comes through. So you know, I'm grateful. So
I'm gonna back you up in that because Jonathan is the man. I will tell you right now. You want to claim him, but I'm claiming him too.
He is. I was like, you know, Jacob. Hey, Jonathan. You guys, Mr. Coleman is the man. Mr. Coleman and Mr. Know-It-All. Thank you guys for being in the building. I think at the top too. I think we got Kimmy K. They're always here. So you guys, I thank you for even being here. And if you can like, comment, and share, please pass the video on. We would like to spread exquisite conversation around the world. We want to go ahead and take this thing nationwide and tap in with whoever we can tap in with and have a good time. But yeah, I know Jacob, you couldn't really go there like we could go there. Hey, Jonathan.
Oh yeah, indeed. Like you said, Jonathan. Indeed. Indeed.
So I was really impressed. I usually don't take notes. I usually don't do those things. I definitely read over who I'm going to interview or be on the screen with. Yeah, we want to have fun. We don't want to look crazy while we're on here. You know what I mean? And then when I see who I'm talking to and I go back past your bio, and, you know, I go look at the Wikipedia and I go look at the Musicpedia, and I'm just saying, you know, I go and I start looking. I was almost upset that I didn't change my shirt and put on a blouse. And then Jacob was like, "Why ain't your hair in a ponytail?" I was like, I didn't get enough time because I saw who I had to interview tonight. And so I was like, I'm really grateful that you're here and just even giving us these little morsels of encouragement. For there's two young ladies that just walked in and they were standing over here listening to you. And that's why I was asking those questions, because they just that encouragement, why they see, you know, someone who is all the way in Toledo that would reach back and give us some valuable morsels on, you know, life and what you did to catapult yourself to get to that next level. And I'm grateful that you're here on Exquisite Conversation Podcast. I also heard you say something about an annual. I always hear annual, and you said the third annual. That means you did it a couple times. Give us a little bit of information about that.
Well, there are a couple different, oh my gosh, there's so many events that we have coming up. For example, for Leading Families Home, which is a shelter for homeless women and children, and we actually started accepting men as well as post-COVID. We have two events coming up for that, and that's been an annual event for some years now. The first one is our spring luncheon that we will be coming up in 2 weeks, in fact, and that is a free event that we invite people to come to. And you can actually inbox me for all these locations because I don't have the addresses right off of my head, but that's an event we invite folks to come to get involved, to know what homelessness is and what homelessness looks like in your city, and then what it looks like to help remedy that, because we are not just a homeless shelter. We actually house people and help them get permanent housing. You know, it's not that you come in and you spend the night for a couple nights or a week and then you get back out on the street. That is not how we operate. We operate with the idea of helping people get on their feet, get permanent housing for themselves and for their children. So that's one event. And then coming up in June, we have another event called Summer in Paris, and that will be out at the Inverness Country Club. And that's always a very big event. It's kind of a soiree type thing, you know. Obviously, it's at a country club, and we have a huge crowd every single year. And so, if you want it, we would enjoy seeing everyone there to support the cause, because all the funds 100% go to the homelessness shelter, if you will. The other one that we have coming up sometime around August or September, this is the Crave Foundation. We have a bike ride that addresses youth violence, and it's actually called Citizens Response Against Youth Violence is actually what it is. And so last year is organized and ran by Rochelle Russell, and she gathered up some leading folks here. The Slang Gang, I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but the Slang Gang, they ride the bicycles and the motorcycles, those three-wheeler thingies across the country.
Yeah.
and they're huge outfit, and it's headed up in Toledo by a gentleman by the name of Lightning Rod, who also owns some entities here, including Lighthouse Restaurant, and so a bar and restaurant. And so that's going to be, we hope to have that in August, probably September. We try to work around when he has his bike rides, if you will, because they have thousands of people that own those sling bikes, and they all go across the country. So we have that one coming up. And then in August, the historic Vistula community, we have a jazz fest, and this will be our 4th annual jazz fest. And that's headed up by me as well. And so I'm going to be reaching out to a couple of, and that's a jazz venue, if you will, and it'll be an outside at a park area. And I'm going to be reaching out to a couple of artists to perform with that.
Okay. Jacob.
All right, then. So that's what I'm talking about. You outside.
Outside.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You outside. So now, I just want to know, Ohio. We if you've been around, the old school, about the Dayton family, Ohio players. You know about Eddie Levert and his people, all that singing family, his sisters and his brothers and his sons out there in Cleveland and stuff like that. So when it comes to Southern Soul, how is that wave in Ohio?
Well, categorize Southern Soul for me, because we may be thinking about how defining that differently.
I would say people like Sir Charles, King George, Lacey, you say Pokey Bear, Kevin Richardson, that type Southern Soul.
I think to me, music is music. So when somebody asks me to define the differences in music, I'm a person who loves all type of music, whether it's Southern Soul or, it's East Coast hip hop or it's West Coast hip hop. I enjoy all genres, including classical, including jazz, including country, because I'm loving Beyonce's situation right now, coming out with the country, But I think when we start trying to compare the two, we draw a separation line, which I don't think is necessary in music. I think that we can enjoy all types of music, regardless of where it comes from. Because if you love music like I do, and when I say music, I'm talking about the beat, the essence of a song. The essence of a song, because a lot of times most of us will love a song and not know a darn thing about what they're saying in the song, but that beat catches us, that beat we kind of catch that rhythm. And I think our people in general, we have a feeling for the rhythm of music anyhow. That's what soul music is, that pretty much everything has kind of derived itself from anyhow. And so I really don't make a distinction between the music itself. Now, when it comes to the lyrics, there's some differences for sure. I mean, it's just like we knew the differences between Tupac and Biggie, versus the way East Coast, West Coast, because we could tell from what they were talking about which coast they were from. We can listen to Dr. Dre and Eminem, and we can get an idea of what, where they're coming from. But to me, it's always that beat, and it's always a really hot hook that catches me, and the rest of it, I don't really make a judgment on it after that, because once the beat has me, I have it. California, California. Who does not know that song? You know.
Right. Well,
Or
well,
you know, they found.
it's the reason why I asked you that, because I know for us in the South, um, when they kind of brought the Southern Soul back out after COVID, people had lost so many loved ones, and they was going through the COVID, and it was that feel good music. Cause I'm from the whole chitlin circuit vibe,
Yeah.
so when it comes to the feel good music and the liquor houses and your granny frying the fish on the side and people buying fish plates and barbecue plates.
Yes.
So
Yes.
when it comes to that's why I asked, because I know in Maryland they kind of caught on late. You know what I mean? But if you understand the string guitars and the percussion instruments and that dude that might be the only one in the town that can play a harmonica, but he plays so well that harmonica has been his best friends for the last 40 years. You know what I
But
mean?
don't you think, don't in my opinion, and it actually it started a little bit right before COVID, in my opinion, that music is actually coming back in a very strong way. I
Hmm.
think people miss that home style music, and
Right.
it's not even so much the music, it's the lyric and it's the feel of family. It's the look and it's the feel of community. It's the look and the feel of the barbecues and the block parties, and people want to get back to that, because to be quite honest with you, those were some of the better times of most of our lives.
You're right.
And the young people now, they look back at some of the videos and we talk about some things and they're like, wow, you guys did that, because they don't even know what that feels like right now. And so I have seen a very strong wave of that old school feel good music coming back, not just the music but the lyrics as well. You're watching the videos and everybody is around, like you said, a park or a barbecue, having a drink and playing cards or playing checkers, and it's trying to take us back to how we used to be when we focused more on family and friends. And yes, I can say probably you guys started with a stronger wave of that, but I am seeing more of that come back even into mainstream music now. I'm watching all the young guys that are coming out now with the R&B, and they are killing it. I'm
Right.
like, it's
Right.
it's about time. It's really
Right.
about time,
I
and
thought we
even
lost R&B at one point. I had no idea what happened to it. I was upset
exactly.
emotionally. I was hurt
Yeah.
because I'm an
Yeah.
R&B junkie.
I can
Yeah.
tell you what happened. I can tell you what happened.
What happened?
The the R&B dudes wanted to be rappers, and the rappers wanted to try to sing, but they couldn't.
I'm gonna agree
Now
with
that
that.
makes a lot of sense, though.
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
agree with
Drake
that.
pulled it off. Drake pulled it off. Drake pulled it off. Drake can pull that off.
Yeah,
I
But
you
you
know.
just,
have, you have very few artists that, especially rappers, that can. Well, I'm not gonna say that for the women, but it's especially for the guys. Very few of them can jump back into the arena of being an R&B singer. The women they tend to be able to bounce back and forth. I will say that, because I've heard some of the rappers and I've heard some of the females singing, and I'm actually, okay, they can do some of the singing. Aikiko, whatever her name, that girl is an awesome singer. We got a couple of folks out of Detroit, young ladies out of Detroit that are doing the R&B thing too, and I'm loving what I'm hearing. But you're absolutely right. I think with the departure of R. Kelly, I think at some point somebody had to say we got to bring R&B back, because R&B is where we are from. That soul, that hometown, that grit that we all live and we talk about in our music. We got to bring that back. And I don't know if you guys remember the song from him, Backyard Party. You guys remember
Yeah,
Backyard
yeah, oh
Party?
yeah, oh
And
yeah.
everybody knew that song, and that was kind of the essence. Every summer people were playing that at the park, or they're going out to barbecue, and that was one of the songs, and as well as some of the other old school music. And so yeah, we need to, that essence is definitely finding a way back into mainstream, and I'm very happy to see it.
Right, and it's funny you say that, because I'm a Rob fan for sure, through and through. I love me some Robert Kelly. You know what I mean? Despite his troubles and stuff like that, but as far as a creator, a artist, a composer,
Yeah,
it ain't really nobody did it better in my opinion. So,
I
but
agree.
yeah, and then I can tell you, I was hurt at the passing of Gerald Levert too. Cause I can remember just going through his catalog recently, man, and be like, "Hey, man, listen, he's just made such a great music." And then we can really, people can say what they want to say, man, but at the highest level of music, you really can't mention music without mentioning Michael Jackson and Prince. You can't do it. You can't do
Right.
it. You
You're
know,
right. Hmm.
cause a lot of times, and I was telling one of the young guys that can sing really good, I said, man, invest in your acoustic and piano, man. And he was like, I was like, but you know what? Even the people who don't sing, if they can play an instrument, they get hired forever. They never
Yeah.
without a job. Anybody who can play an instrument is never without a job.
Right. Right. I'll be honest with you. When I was in the game, if you will, during my time, it was all bands. I mean, literally, if you didn't have a band, I mean, or you could sing solo, but there wasn't this wave of people performing with CDs behind them. I don't get it. I mean, for the life of me, I've judged a lot of shows, and I've often asked artists, when you come to a show, why do you come and just let your CD play for you, and you stand on the stage and you basically sing nothing? And you see it even in the industry when you have the award shows and whatnot. The artists, everybody brings these pre-records with them when we want to see the artist. And I think R&B, you can't name too many times that old school R&B did that, because whether there was music or not, they were going to grab a mic and sing. I remember one time I went to Detroit to see Joe, and this was probably 20 years ago. You all know who Joe is.
Right.
And the music was all messed up in the back, and he just grabbed the mic and just sang without the music, and the crowd just came along with him, because everybody knew those old school R&B songs. And I went to one with Howard Hewitt, same thing with him here in Toledo at the Maumee Valley, and the music, I don't know what happened with the music, but he said, turn it off and let me just sing. And he sang, and everybody knew the old school, when he sang with Jody Watley, and all this, these are true artists. And I'd love to see people get back to just singing from the heart and singing from the soul. And the music certainly adds to it, but you can't too much do that with some rap. I mean, they like to have some kind of music behind them, but I would sure wish that people would understand if they have to perform for us, if they want to get a ticket price paid.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely, they do. One thing that I do love is when you do see that the artist, if something happens, this is where you find out that these guys are professional and that they've been doing this for 20 years, even with our client. When we watch them and the music may not be right, or the DJ didn't get it right or something, and they continue on like there's nothing even happening. When you treat the crowd as if it was 50,000, even if it's 7,500, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I love to see when they do that. That makes me feel good. That's when it brings me back home.
Absolutely. That's the old adage from way back in the day where they said the show must go on, right?
Right.
Regardless of what happens, the show must go on. And I guess while we're talking about this, one of the things that I want to advise young artists to understand is that when you look at your predecessors, for example, Gerald Levert and Michael Jackson, understand that when you are in the industry, it is hard on your health. It's hard on your health. You're on the road a lot. You don't really eat the best, okay? And if you do it for many, many years, your body is gonna tell on you. So I advise those who are out there trying at a very young age that are trying to do this, please keep tab on your health. You know, try to cut the smoking if you can, try to cut the drinking if you can, because when you get on stage and you try to perform for an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, especially if you have very hard songs that you're trying to chase after, the older you get, you are not going to be able to complete your task. I've seen this many, 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 many times. And while it's fun to party and so forth, if you take your trade seriously, if you take what you do seriously as an artist, you must take care of your body. You must eat healthy and you must exercise, because I've seen people pass out. I've seen people, look 4 times their age because of not being able to take care of their body. I'm not saying that's what happened to Gerald or Michael, but I do believe that Gerald Levert had some health issues, from my understanding. And I'm assuming that maybe he had them looked at, maybe he didn't. But as African Americans, we definitely need to take care of looking at our diabetic situation, and any of the other ailments that affect us in particular, because if you're an artist, that stuff can come on suddenly just because of your lifestyle.
Right. And I this maybe it's been about 3 months ago. And speaking of health, I remember when Bobby Brown couldn't breathe on one of the tour dates for New Edition. They had to take him
Right.
off stage, and Johnny and Ralph instantly took him to the doctor and grabbed him a personal trainer and said, "Bobby, we got to get you all way healthy, man." Because
Yes.
when you was born a slim dude and been a slim dude for a long time, and you pick up this excess weight, and it's kind of easy for a bigger person to carry that weight that always played ball and worked out and stuff like that. But when you was
Right.
when you was a slim Jim at one time, and you pick up a lot of weight in your latter years, that kind of take a toll. And I feel like that's what happened to Bobby. You know what I mean? Because Bobby ain't really never been a huge guy.
Right. He was always a slim fella. And you have to remember, too, the older we get, sometimes that weight is not real easy to lose. And then you start suffering from other things like depression, because you knew what you were able to do at one time and now you can't do it. Whereas you might look at your counterparts and they, if you look at Belle Biv DeVoe, I mean, them guys are still hopping around like they're 19. And Ralph Tresvant,
Right.
they're, because they not to say that they're all healthy, because a couple of them had some issues with their lungs because they were smokers too. But it's very, very, very important to definitely watch your health. I was in that situation. I managed an artist and I had to pull him from the stage early because by his 3rd song, I could tell something was wrong with him. And he said he felt like he was about to pass out. And so I kind of snuck my way to the stage and had the DJ quiet, kind of fade out the music, and I pulled him off the stage. And so, and it's bad when you're famous, when you're famous and then you come back after for a revival, and then things are a little bit harder, the older you get, because I think all those guys are in their 40s and over, 50s, if I'm not mistaken. 50s
I think Johnny Johnny and Ralph probably the oldest, I think, and I think Bobby's 55, and I think Johnny's 56. Him and Ralph is 50.
Okay, so 50s, yeah.
And then you're picking up that weight around the midsection area because of the things that they're probably eating, the things that they couldn't eat when they were out before. And that's just not in the music industry. Let's be very clear about that. That's in life.
Absolutely.
That's in life, because no matter what, even if you're in the music industry and you have a publicist, you have a manager, you have a designer, you have all these people are traveling with you 9 times out of 10. You get tired. You're not sleeping. If you're on movie sets, if you're on film, the last set I was on a while ago, some years ago, but I mean, I think it was like maybe 3-hour intervals, before the next city. Like you will burn out very, very fast if you're not prepared mentally, because it's not just about being in the studio writing the lyrics, writing the songs, or even just the repetitive rehearsal time, and for some reason everyone knows like that rehearsal doesn't feel just right, you know what I mean, like before, like you're gonna do when you go out on stage, so it's just anything that you do, you gotta be mindful about your health and what you put in your mouth.
Absolutely.
What you put in your body, what do you eat? What do you eat? Um,
But
and just the fact remains, all of us weren't meant to be slim, like you said, Jacob.
you're right though, Nicole. But you know when it comes to black and brown people, I just gotta be honest. Black and brown people eat what tastes good, not what's good for you, but what tastes good. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like
I don't think
you
I'm the
come
only one who eats like this, though. That I mean, and I've been eating like this for a long time,
if you
way
come
before
from
I
that
ever,
granny
huh?
that don't got no if you come from that granny that ain't never had no measuring cup that can eye
Oh
everything
yeah,
and
yeah,
just
yeah.
and
I
you
absolutely
like,
know what that.
especially if you come from that household where your granny always had something on the stove all the time, or your mama always got something on the stove all the time. You like, man, like what is this right here? Like I had to tell the artist, I said, man, look, man, I said you need to take a nap before you go out there, bro. I said, man, you've been drinking, you've been smoking, and you've been eating really bad. I was like, you've been in soul food heaven every city. I said, man, you need to take a nap, man. He said the show ain't till like 10. I said, well, it's 6 o'clock. You need to take a nap. I I I have you about by 9 o'clock. We'll get
Yeah.
there. We right around the corner. You need to take a nap, man.
Yeah.
Because the thing about that, man, when you up all day and you doing this and you don't take a nap in the shows, if you a singer, oh man, you gonna miss notes. And then if you ain't drunk your hot honey lemon tea to really soothe your vocals, it's gonna be real cracky and scratchy.
Let me tell you something with the artists that I have managed. Be sure before a show, you don't eat like that. In fact, I'd like for you really not. You have to eat very, very lightly because what happens is you get sluggish.
Right,
Like you
right.
said, you get tired. You know, you don't perform at your ultimate peak. And so, with the day of a show, I highly recommend that you eat very lightly. And you know, if you have to drink protein drinks, that's fine. Definitely take care of the lemon lodge, the lemon spray, or what have you, to take care of the voice, especially if you are a hard performer like Mac Nova. Mac Nova performs hard and he's gonna sweat. So I highly recommend you drink a couple bottles of water before you go on stage, because if you sweat a lot, you'll get dehydrated, so you'll feel dizzy. You know, it helps. It helps that these people have a manager that has a medical background, to be honest with you, because I know what to look for. That's the thing. You know, I know how to kind of help them get over these hurdles. And you're right. You know, I have to agree with you. When you get past 50, there is a certain amount of weight that you are going to gain, and you're not going to lose it no matter what. Okay. And if 50 in the face nowadays for a lot of people looks like 30. But that body is still 50.
Yeah,
Okay. And so
yeah, yeah. Cause I can tell you now when it rains, my knees be hurting. I ain't gonna say you no lie.
yeah. That's a big complaint for a lot of people. You know, you go 50, you're 40, 50, and you look like you're 30, but your body says, I got arthritis in these knees.
Yeah,
You
man.
know, and you need to put some salve and rest these knees and put some ice on them, you know, to take the swelling down. There's some things you can do for that, to help that, you know, but,
That's
but
crazy though.
if you perform, and you know, I think people who are really high up in the industry, that's why so many of them, like Michael Jackson, did have their own personal physicians, you know, because my understanding was, even when he got ready to perform at his last show, his body was so achy, he had to get injected with steroids and painkillers and everything else, because he did a lot of very hard dancing and
Yes,
bouncing on the floor and slipping and turning around. And after a while, it takes a toll on your joints, to be honest with you. And so, yeah, if you ever make it to the point that you can hire your own personal physician, it might be a good idea.
right. It's just like you talking about Michael. He been doing that since he was a kid.
Exactly.
And me and my sister was talking about LeBron James. Man, he been playing basketball since he was 6 years old, and now he's 39, and already played in his 21st season. So I
Right.
was telling her, if he just walk away and don't play and don't dribble another basketball, he done went over and beyond. So the
Hmm.
body can't, like, once you hit that. People say 40, but I'm gonna say if you've been an athlete your whole life, once you hit 35, oh, you start feeling it. For real.
I think I heard Kobe Bryant say something very, very close to that when he before his demise or what have you. He said something very similar to the same thing when he retired. He said it's time. He said it was time. Even though he looked very young, Kobe, he had other interests. His body was telling on him as well. Some of them you can see it in their walk, and you have to imagine with all of that, pressure on the knees and on the joints, because, again, I'm speaking from a medical term and not from a medical standpoint. When you have repeated wear and tear on your joints, whether it's your knees or whether it's constantly doing the same repetitive work, you're wearing on those joints, you're wearing on those tendons, and then you end up with tendonitis and swelling in the knees and swelling in the joints. It's not something that we are meant to do, to be honest with you, but because we do repetitive work like that, at some point those joints do end up wearing down, and then you end up with knee replacements, shoulder replacements, and so forth. And so it really behooves all of us to take care. But if you're out there making $34 million a year, I get it. Just get out when you can.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely. And those that do get that, kudos to you. Kudos to you. We are getting down to the crunch line. We are down to 4 minutes and counting. I would love for you to tell the people, something that give us a gem, give us something about Debra Sue would like the world to know about your next mission, your next, what is it that you would like them to see or be waiting for? Maybe going not just to the polls, but being on the other side of it.
I'm actually in the process of looking into investment advising. In fact, I had a meeting today, and it's kind of on the board right now. It's kind of in process because a large amount of our community of Black and Brown people are not aware of what their options are as far as investments are concerned, for their future or for their current time. What do I do? How do I go about getting a trust? How do I go about, a 401k? How do I go about establishing a business with the money that I do have? And so I'm in the process of working on that right now. And so you can look for that podcast will actually be starting within the next 4 to 6 months, maybe. I'm hoping before the end of the year, I'm going to get that going so I can help direct some folks to some people that can help them with regard to their finances and their investments. And then the other thing is, as you can see behind me, I actually had a podcast at one time as well. And so I'm gonna bring back at Debra Sue's table and start bringing in some artists and business people, very much like you guys. And I'm going to start trying to promote not just local art and local business again, but I want to reach beyond Toledo, Ohio, and so see how many people we can all connect throughout the states.
Absolutely. I'm glad that we tapped in together here. Hopefully we can tap in outside of here.
Absolutely.
And as things start moving along, I definitely want to bring you back. Maybe in-house. I don't know. We're gonna see here what we have going in store here lately. We got some surprises for some people this year. I wish you were able to come to Atlanta. I'll be in Atlanta, and we'll be in Atlanta April 5th and 6th. For something called the Re-Up Experience. And I think that would be something, and the people and the women in the building are definitely your type of hype, I think.
Well, you know what? Connect with me afterward and get that information to me. I actually have people who live in Atlanta, and I'm in Atlanta quite a bit with my artists prior to last year, because I had to have some surgery on my ankle. I broke my leg, but I'm in Atlanta, and so sure, send me that information and we'll see if we can make that happen.
Absolutely. I think you'll have a grandiose time today event. Some smiles, giggles, real talk, real conversations, and the women just I think that I kind of I usually I'm really like 98% like on point when I do that. When I kind of put people together, I'm good at that part. So thank you guys. We got Debra Sue, a beautiful soul, you guys. If you guys can like, follow, share. This is Exquisite Conversation Podcast, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys. Thank you.
You're welcome.